It is impossible to comprehend a being like Jesus unless you validate your own experience. Because that vibration only communicates through the parameter of our own experience. It does not communicate through the parameter of physical things like books or mental things like someone else telling you what that means. And in mysticism, the teachings are old. It says, if you want to come to me with your head in your hands. In other words, chop this off because it's useless. It's useless in this part of the journey, right? And so the first step, the very first step on the journey is to validate our own experience, which is the very first step taken away from us by any religion. A religion says your experience is not valid. In fact, you don't even have an ability to communicate directly with God. Sorry, but we'll do that for you, right? And in fact, your experience is so invalid. Continually apologize for yourself and the way that you are, because, you're just born in a terrible state and there's nothing you can do about it. And maybe one day, there'll be a point at which you may be able to have a better experience, but not now. But pay enough money, do enough stuff, we're going to get you there, right? We'll take care of it for you. Completely invalidate your experience. And it's based, for example, in the Christian, because all religions are like that. They're all about invalidating the experience. Otherwise, they couldn't exist. Because when a being is empowered, they don't need to follow any group or anybody. Once we actually validate our own experience, our teacher is internal. And so one of the greatest misquotes in our recent religious history is, I am the light, I am the way, none come to the Father but through me. One of the biggest misquotes ever, right? Because really it's my experience is the light, my experience is the way. I do not enter vibrational awareness unless I accept my experience as absolutely valid. So another way that may have been said is, I am is the light, I am is the way. I do not come to the Father unless I go through the I am. And what is the I am to me? The I am in my relationship with myself is this expression. However, my emotional, mental, and physical experiences unfolding in this moment is the expression of the I am. And I have to accept that as valid and be able to communicate with that experience directly in order to receive the teaching. And the fact is, my teaching is different from yours, and yours, and yours, and yours. My teaching is so tailored to me that there is no ways that I can take my teaching and put it on you. All I can do as a being, when I get that, is invite you into your teaching and say, accept your experience as valid. And this is a means by which you may communicate with your experience. But you have to believe your experience is true. But if I say, no, my experience is true, and this is what you need to do to have my experience, now we have a problem, right? Remember when Carlos Castaneda came out with those extraordinary books? I don't know if any of you read Carlos Castaneda. And they really were extraordinary books because it gave us a whole different parameter by which to perceive reality and engage with it. And so everyone went after the Carlos Castaneda experience. And no one had it. And everyone said, no, he's a fraud. I didn't have it. It didn't happen to me, so he must be a fraud, right? But actually that was his experience. And if you enter the same journey, you will have a completely different experience. You'll have your experience. And the only people who got anything out of reading those books was if they really got that their experience was valid, not his experience, right? And that's a problem, for example, about sharing too much about our experience. It's important to share the insights for those that want to know, but our experience is not that valid to somebody else because my experience is tailored to me for my own teaching. So that's the first step on the journey to enter the heart and the vibrational, is that my experience is absolutely valid. It's what I require. I know that my experience is valid. It's always what I require. Always. Right? It's not what I need and want. What I need and want is what the child is trying to get to feel better because its being is not valid. Its doing has to become valid. So what I need and want is based on what I'm going to do so that I can be seen, so that I can be validated. Because being in the world as a child wasn't validated. Why? Because I'm born into a world that is run by doers. This is a world of doers who do things. What do the politicians say? I will do this for you. I will get this done. They're not saying I will be presidential. No, they say I will do something for you. It's all about doing. So when we're born into a world of doers doing, because we're born into a world of believing that if you want to impact the causal point of your experience, you must either do something physical or something mental. Think about it. And the world is run, this is the God of this world right now, the mental body. That's why we are mental, right? And that's why the majority of our institutions and organizations are run by men. There are even organizations that believe that if you're a woman, you don't have a capacity to engage with God or even talk to anyone about the subject because you're a woman. That's how mental we've become. And there are people that believe that. That's how mental we are, right? And our politics, our religion, in fact, even if you want to be a woman and make it, if you want to be a woman and make it in the White House, you have to behave like a man. You have to behave like a man because it's a man's world. And what that means, it's the world of the mental body. It's the world of the mental body. And the mental body believes in doing. It has no point of reference for being. It has no point of reference whatsoever for being, as being of any value, right? And doing has a beginning and an end, and it has results. And that's what the mental body does. Why are we doing this? How long will it take? What am I going to get out of it? That's exactly how the mental body operates. And so when a child is born into a world like that, and it is just being, not a being, right? I'm just being here. Hello? Is anyone out here, right? Well, maybe I need to do something to get some attention because I'm unseen unless I'm doing something. All right, so then I start all my things that I need to do so that I'm here. So my being is valid. Otherwise, it's not valid, right? So this work, that's why we say this work is not about feeling better. The feeling better is a drive that comes from the imprint in the emotional body. And there is truth in all our religious writings. The truth is always there because everything is the vibrational. It's just of whether we engage with it physically, mentally, or emotionally. And emotionally is the closest we get. Right? So the truth is always there. So when we're told the sins of the fathers are inherited by the children, that's the truth. It's just not the way it's given to us to make us feel bad about who and what we are and that we're useless and broken. What it's saying is the emotional imprint from one generation is passed on to the next generation. It's called the human race, right? And the imprint is the baton, and we run through time, right? And we pass it on to our children. Our children take it from us, and they run. It's called the human race. And so what's extraordinary about this moment is that we can go, what the hell is this? Right? Our parents didn't have that opportunity. They didn't even know they were holding it. They completely identified with this experience. Remember we said last night that when you're hypnotized and you're on stage doing your act, right? And here, this tells us that this is a teapot or this is a cookie jar. We believe the physical world and what it shows us. We believe it. Not only that, but we have no awareness of the vibrational whatsoever. In other words, the person on stage who's hypnotized, who's running around believing that that person is a cookie jar, and this person who now has been told that that person is a teapot, and they're running around doing this thing, and everyone in the audience is laughing. They're completely oblivious that 5 minutes ago they were sitting in the audience themselves, and they've got whole lives. That doesn't exist anymore, right? So the imprint is a state of hypnosis. It's a state of hypnosis. That's why that question, where are we now, is a really important question. And it's really not about the answer, because we're infatuated with answers. It's about the question. This work is about the question. Remember, the question is the causal point. The answer is the expression. We just need to ask the questions, the right questions. What are we? What is God for us? And where are we right now? Don't have to worry about answering the questions. Remember, ask and you will receive. Not ask and go and get. Right? There's a difference between ask and go and get and ask and receive. So what this work is about is awakening our capacity to receive. Awakening our capacity to receive. Everything is already given. Everything. The peace we seek, the love we seek, the feeling of the abundance, it's all given. But if a cup is upside down and you pour water on it, or if a cup has cracks in it, if we have imprinting in us that causes us to go after what we need and want, believing that if I get that, I will feel better, and that has nothing to do with what I require to evolve as a being, then even when I'm given what I require, I cannot see it. I won't accept it. I'll believe it should be another way. I won't validate my experience. And that's why the very first step in this journey is to validate our experience. Right, so that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to start looking at this experience that I'm having is valid. Don't anyone tell me it's not supposed to be happening this way. What is now, from this point of validating my experience, it is, am I going to react to it or I'm going to respond to it? In other words, there is no other choice. There is no other choice. And it's not about easy either. Easy is overrated. Don't go for easy. Easy will lead you into feeling better. It's easy to feel better. You can go onto the internet right now and order whatever pharmaceuticals you want. They'll be at your door in a couple of days. You take those, you'll feel better, I promise you. It's easy. It's easy. It's easy to feel better. It's challenging to become better at feeling. That's the challenge. Right? So the first step is to validate our experience. Now, a couple of things that start to occur when we validate our own experience. A couple of things will start to unfold that are pretty much guaranteed. The first one is there will be less people around, right? Because what we do is we're going from the drama into the dharma. Okay, there is the choice. Drama or dharma, right? And when we move towards the dharma, when the drama is no longer our means of communication, then people around us who function out of drama will slowly move away. You don't even have to do anything about it. It's not a case of doing. It's just a case of, as we access our being, the doers kind of will start losing interest, right? Because there's an energy in the doer that's vampiric. And what we're really doing is we're awakening ourselves from the vampire mentality. The vampire, we're all vampires, right? The vampire mythology is one of the most powerful and beautiful mythologies. But when we're physically transfixed beings, then we have a very different idea about what a vampire is to when we're anchoring ourselves more towards the emotional realm. A vampire, look at a vampire. What does a vampire do? It bites on another's neck and sucks their blood and gets their life force from another. It lives in the darkness and can't go into the light, otherwise it will die. And if it bites you, you become a vampire. So the biting is the imprinting. Once a child is bitten, a child becomes a vampire. There is nothing you can do about it, right? Because everyone else is a vampire. The darkness is the belief that what I require, my soul nutrition, comes from the world. Yes, my body nutrition does. My body nutrition comes from plants, whatever it is I eat. But my soul food, a vampire believes that the soul food comes from the world too. Because there's two types of nutrition going on here. You know, we're told we cannot live on bread and bread alone. What the hell is that about, right? There's two types of nutrition going on here. A vampire is one who gets all their nutrition from the world, even their soul food. They get their soul food from other souls. You know, I've had a really bad day today. I feel so sad. Things are not going well, right? And then you can feel sorry for me and tell me everything's going to be all right, and then I'll feel better, and I'll leave, and you'll feel drained. That was tasty. I'll get myself some of that soul food. So the vampire bites on the neck and sucks the blood because the blood flows from the heart. The blood is the liquid of the heart. It's a symbol of the life force, right? And the thing about a vampire is we're also told how to kill a vampire. How do you kill a vampire? Stake in the heart. The heart is at stake. Right, so what happens is if I take a wooden stake and I go, whah, stake in the heart, you can be sure all your attention is going to go into here. In other words, all your awareness is going to go there. And if all your awareness goes there, you will realize that you're imprinted, that it's been controlling your behavior, and that you can liberate yourself by removing your imprinting. The moment you go into the heart center and awaken to that reality and realize where the life force really comes from, you will no longer get it from others. You will no longer seek it from others. Instead of saying, oh, I've had a really bad day today, you will go to yourself. You'll comfort yourself. Right? And that will end the vampire. And then you can enter the light. There are some people that are happy with photographs of the Himalayas in a coffee table book, at the coffee table. And they say, have you seen the Himalayas, how beautiful they are? Look at this book. Beautiful. That's enough. There are others who are happy, there are less of them, who get a photograph of the Himalayas by a friend who happened to go to India. And they go, wow, look at this photo of the Himalayas. This is fantastic. Wow, I wonder how many people got a photo of the Himalayas. Right? There are others who will go to India and stand 60 miles away from the Himalayas and take a photograph and send it back to their buddy and go, wow, we took a photograph of the Himalayas. Let's go home. There are others who will go to the base of the Himalayas and stand there and go, wow, it's really big, very nice. Okay, let's go home, right? There are others who may hike up a mile or two to a base camp and hang out, have a good time. We're on the Himalayas, right? This is great. It's almost like being at a 7-day retreat, right? Right. I'm very peaceful and I'm namaste. Right. Let's go home now, right? That's enough of that, right? They need a hamburger. Then there are those that want to go to the summit. And even that, why some people want to summit and others want to stay with the coffee table book, it's not about that. It's not about judging that at all. It's just about realizing that there are some plants that are going to fruit and there are some plants that are going to go and be compost for the next harvest. That's the reality of the garden, right? And the most important thing is when we validate our experience, the moment to accept our experience as valid and to start to speak directly to that and through that. Realize that the entire world is going in the other direction. Realize that the entire world is going in the other direction. So it's going to happen that as the higher you get up the Himalayas, you might end up having a guide for a while, right? But eventually, if that guide is a real guide, they'll say, go ahead. Go ahead. You have to summit on your own, right? You have to summit on your own. So be aware, and it's a very important part of the journey, because the relationship that I'm having with this part of my being is the most important thing in this journey. The relationship that I'm having with myself is communicated. This, whatever I am, vibrates through my heart. So my relationship with my heart is my relationship with the vibrational. My relationship with my heart is my relationship with my vibrational. Taking care of myself means taking care of my heart. Listening to myself means listening to my heart. But the thing is, in order for me to comprehend my relationship with my heart, to be able to see how it is now, truly, because that's really important. What's really important is I really get how I'm being with myself now, honestly. It's crucial. And in order to see that, I need less people around me. Because when there's a lot of people around me, that's going to confuse me as to really what's going on with me. I need to be in my own energy a little bit and to feel what's going on here. So be aware that as you validate your experience and become really curious about that and let that be the teaching, that there will be less people around. And so there may be an experience which we call loneliness may come in. It's a rite of passage. A rite of passage means the right passage. It's the right passage to walk down, right? Because that aloneness, although it's a very powerful feeling, it's necessary. It's going to teach us about how our relationship is with us truly at the moment, so we can really see, how am I being with myself right now? Truly. It's very important that I see that. Because everything hinges on that relationship. That is the only relationship that is valid. All other relating to others in the world is a reflection of that relationship. If there is anger towards myself, there is going to be anger in the way I relate to others. If there is grief within myself towards myself, there's going to be grief in the way I relate to others. If there's fear in my relationship towards myself, there's going to be fear in the way I relate to others. Right? Now I can watch my ways of relating to other human beings in the world, knowing full well that every single one is reflecting how I'm truly being with myself. And it's not about changing them. It's not about impacting the physical or even changing the way I think about things. It's really about becoming aware of how I'm really being with myself and allowing that to be and bringing full awareness to it so that those conditions can move to a point of resolution. They can move to a point of resolution. So that's the one thing, is that more space may open up around us as we do this work. The other thing to realize about this work, which helps us to relax, is that it's organic. Right? The world is not happening to us. It's happening through us. But this work is happening to us. The way we are when we're in the mental realm is we're like a peach tree. A peach tree that's this big and knows that it's a peach tree. But its only disadvantage is it went to the mental institution, and after that it got a book called Enlightenment, which told it that it was a peach tree and that it could have peaches. And so it's this big and it says, where's the peaches? Come on, I want the peaches. But the thing is, a peach tree really needs to be well rooted in the earth. You know, to contain a full harvest of peaches. Don't know if you have ever picked fruit. Like of one peach tree, baskets and baskets of peaches, right? That not even one human being can hold, right? So for a peach tree to contain all the peaches and not fall over, it needs deep roots. It needs a strong trunk. It needs lots of branches. It needs lots of leaves to take in enough light. Now, where we are in our journey, if you're sitting here today and you actually comprehend what I'm saying, because believe it or not, there are many people in this world who wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about. They wouldn't have a clue. What the hell is he talking about? Really. Whatever is happening today is not anything new to any of you. It's a continuation of the journey you're already on. It's not about starting on a new journey, it's a continuation of where you're already on. And if you're here and you comprehend what's going on, it means you got the roots. You got the trunk. You got the branches. You got the leaves. But why you're sitting here is because you're experiencing something that's kind of strange. You're not sure what to do about it, right? Because when we start flowering, the flowering is like alien growth on the tree. Like, what the hell is this thing, right? Because what flowering is feeling, the emotional component. And the flowering is very strange. Mostly what we do as human beings when we start flowering is we go and look for a good pharmaceutical to stop whatever that's going on. Okay, I don't want to, this is really strange, I need to talk to someone about this, right? The mental body will tell fantastic stories about it and then we'll go and do something about it. But actually, the flowering is valid. And the problem with reading a book about, you know, enlightenment and these things is we think we can just make the peaches happen. But the fact is a peach tree doesn't make the peaches happen. A peach tree is not functioning isolated from everything else in the universe. The development of a peach tree requires earthworms, birds, bees, wind, soil, you name it, farmers. It requires a team, an entire universal team, sun, moon, everything to get that peach, right? It's not just about, okay, I know it, now I can understand it, now I want it, right? And when the flowering comes, the flowering is the point of surrender. We've been told you just got to be, right? Well, you can't even make the being happen. It's part of the flowering. What happens once the tree is flowered? Bzzz, the bee comes along. The bee only comes once the flowering. It doesn't happen before. It's not necessary. And the tree doesn't go, I want these bees over here, those bees come over here, that over here. No. I want you to stay for 5 minutes today, blah, blah, blah. Take care of those. No. Complete surrender. The bees will come. It's interesting in the world at the moment, the death of the honeybees. Have you read about that? Yes. You know the only bees that aren't dying are the wild bees. The ones that are not trained to do something. All the doing bees are dying. All the bees that get in trucks, sent in trucks from place to place. Go and do your work, right? The organic bees that are just being, they're fine. The farm bees that are doing something are all dying. It's very interesting. You know, nature is just going like, you getting it yet? Bee, not do, right? Okay. So when the bees come, the bees pollinate. The state of being is a state of pollination. Being without condition, we can call it. We were speaking about it last night. Pollinates. It has consequences. It doesn't have results. It has consequences. And the consequences are that there will be fruiting. And the fruiting will be so alien, we won't even know, but it's what's required, not what we need and want. And that entire unfolding is organic. It's organic. We're part of nature. Even though we can close ourselves off from nature and have an artificial temperature and have everything exactly how I need and want it, the fact is we are nature. And nature is organic. Watch anything in nature, it will teach us. Right? So that story of someone who goes to Ram Dass and says, I'm really your most devoted disciple. Really, and I've been devoted to you for years, and just tell me the truth. Now, give it to me, I'm ready. And Ram Dass said, just go and watch that tree. It's organic. So relax. Right? It's not about perfection. That's the cult religious mentality. Perfection. We are already perfect. That perfection is already there. We just want to realize it. But the thing about realizing, or what we're being offered, is to realize it through participation. So it's about participation, not perfection. Just participation. And our point of participation is our life experience as it is right now, this moment, as it is right now. The straight and narrow, which we call the straight and narrow, is the moment we're in. If I say that this moment that I am in is not valid and I try and leap out of it into a moment that I think is supposed to be happening, I've left the straight and narrow. The straight and narrow is when I say, whatever's happening in this moment is valid. Now do I respond? Right. And as long as I respond to this moment, that's all that's required. In other words, I participate in it. It will lead me to where I am supposed to be. Right? So I wasn't going to talk about any of that this morning, but apparently that's what's required.